Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into the epic origin story of the largest country on Earth, Russia. It's a fascinating story, really, forged from this unique blend of Slavic tribes, Viking warriors, and, believe it or not, Byzantine sophistication. It's a mix that literally created the foundations of Russia as we know it. So let's get right into it. First off, just to wrap our heads around the sheer scale we're talking about, look at this. Russia is nearly twice the size of the United States. It spans a staggering 12 time zones. I mean, think about that. When it's morning on one side of the country, it's already nighttime on the other. It is an absolutely colossal nation.
So you gotta wonder, how did a nation this immense even begin? Well, the answer isn't some single simple event. It's actually more like a recipe, with three very distinct ingredients that came together over centuries to create something totally new.
Okay, so our first ingredient, the absolute bedrock of this whole story, is the Slavic people and the land that they called home. So let's get a picture of life before Russia was even Russia. You had the early Slavs, who were really a collection of different tribes, scattered all across the huge forests of Eastern Europe. And yeah, they spoke similar languages and had a shared culture, but they had zero political unity. They weren't one big group. Their lives were completely tied to the land. They were farmers, hunters, and they worshiped these powerful nature gods like Perun, the god of thunder and lightning.
The main takeaway here is that these Slavic tribes were the cultural and, well, the demographic foundation. They are the essential starting point for everything that's going to be built on top of them.
All right, let's move on to ingredient number 2. Because if the Slavs were the foundation, then the Vikings were the catalyst. They were the spark that really started the fire of a new nation.
Now, we all have a certain image of Vikings, right? The helmets, the ships. These dramatic people from Scandinavia were famous, or maybe infamous, as just incredible sailors and explorers. Their whole religion glorified war and conquest, which, definitely helped shape their fearsome reputation all across Europe.
And they for sure earned that fearsome reputation. Using those iconic longships, they would conduct these lightning-fast raids, hitting towns and monasteries, and then just vanishing back to sea before anyone could even mount a real defense. But, and this is a really big but, here's the twist in the story. If you only see them as raiders, you're missing the bigger picture. They were also traders and settlers and explorers who went way beyond just Western Europe. You see, for centuries, Vikings traveled down the great rivers of Eastern Europe, not just to raid, but to trade with the Slavic tribes. And then, around the year 862, something truly remarkable happened. According to the old chronicles, a group of Slavic tribes, who were just tired of all their infighting, they actually invited a Viking chief named Rurik to come and rule over them. I mean, just think about that for a second. This wasn't a conquest, it was an invitation. And right from that moment, these two very different cultures started to mix and merge. And the result of that merger was this, Kievan Rus. This was the very first unified state for the Eastern Slavs, and it was founded and ruled by Vikings. It was, for all intents and purposes, the political birth of the civilization that would one day grow up to be Russia. Okay, so we've got the Slavic people as the base, and the Viking rulers providing the structure. But the new state of Kievan Rus, it was still missing a certain polish. And for our third and final ingredient, we have to turn south, to the immense cultural power of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire was, without a doubt, the superpower of its age. It was the surviving eastern half of the Roman Empire, and it was this dazzling center of incredible wealth, art, and learning. But its most powerful export, the idea that would change absolutely everything for the Rus, was its faith, Eastern Orthodox Christianity. So, thanks to those river trade routes the Vikings set up, Kievan Rus was directly connected to the Byzantine capital, the legendary city of Constantinople. This connection became a superhighway, not just for goods and money, but for ideas, for religion, and for culture. To really get the sheer impact of Byzantine culture, you just have to hear this. It's from a report from envoys sent by King Vladimir of Kiev. After they witnessed a church service in Constantinople's Grand Cathedral, they wrote back, "We did not know if we were in heaven or on earth. For on earth there is no such splendor or beauty. We only know that God dwells there among men." I mean, can you imagine? For the Rus, coming from their world of wooden forts and forest gods, this was a profoundly transformative experience. And this influence had some incredibly practical effects too.
To help spread Christianity, 2 Byzantine missionaries actually created a brand new alphabet specifically for the Slavic languages. This meant people could read the Bible in their own tongue for the first time. It became known as the Cyrillic alphabet, and it's still used across Eastern Europe and Russia today. Okay, so we've seen our 3 distinct ingredients: the Slavs, the Vikings, and the Byzantines. So now let's put it all together and see how they forged a completely new identity. So here it is, the final recipe for early Russia. You start with the foundation, the Slavic people and their land. You add the unifying political structure of the Vikings to create the state of Kievan Rus. And then you fold in the sophistication, the prestige of Byzantine religion, law, and culture. And this influence was so profound, so long-lasting. You can see it in the very title adopted by later Russian rulers, Tsar. Where does that come from? It's just the Slavic version of Caesar, the title of the Roman and Byzantine emperors. By adopting it, Russia was making a bold statement that it saw itself as the true successor to that legacy, a third Rome. And this leaves us with a final, really fascinating thought. From its alphabet to its religion to the very idea of its statehood, Russia was born from this incredible cultural fusion. And so the question becomes, how much of that foundational blend of Slav, Viking, and Byzantine can still be seen shaping the Russia of today?